Hello everyone, this is Shiki. Welcome to another video on my YouTube channel and blog. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I made this rainbow blooms card with the envelope matching it, and this card with two cute girls holding a heart together. The stamp set I'm using today is from Simmons' stamp Love and Friendship. This is from their new French release. And at the first moment I see this stamp set, I knew I was going to create a bloom card feature rainbow colors. I also like those smaller sentiments that will fit in smaller space. I also like all the stamp images has a hand drawing feel to it. That reminds me of all the cute pictures that feature in my textbooks when I was in elementary school. For the rainbow blooms card, I first start off by stamp the heart bloom stamp image on some full sticky post-it note. This post-it note is great for creating masks for some small images. After stamping the mask, I use my scissors to trim it off. Then I start stamping the front panel of my card. I'm using the My Favorite Things hybrid black ink for stamping today because I will do some Copic marker coloring later. And the cardstock I'm using today is Nina Solar White 80 pounds cardstock. I really like using this cardstock for most of my stamping, especially for Copic marker coloring. And when you use mask, you want to stamp the image that you want to be at the front first, and then use the mask to mask off the image and then stamp the images you want to be behind. To peel off the masks, I like to use Tim Holtz craft pick to help me lift up the mask so I don't scratch the surface or leave color from my nail polish. For Copic marker coloring, I'm doing some very easy blending. I first lay down the lightest shade of the color to exaggerate the whole image, and then use the darkest shade of the color to lay down the shade on the image. And then use the middle shade of the color to start blending out the dark shade. Finally, go back to the lightest shade of the color to blend the whole image. One thing you need to notice is try not to color the image next to each other because the ink may bleed through and create a funky shade. So as you can see, I'm coloring the third bloom after I finish the first one instead of go to the one next to the red bloom. I will keep on coloring in this order, and when I finish the first row, I will go back to color the blooms that left in between. This will ensure the colored image is dried by then, and the color will less likely to bleed through. And when I'm done with all the coloring, I'm gonna use the Sharpie pen to draw some bloom strings. For the sentiment, I decided to use a big Friends word along with always and forever, so my sentiment will read Friends, always and forever. For all my stamp sentiment, I like to do some heat embossing to give it a little shine and dimension. So I place the front panel and the sentiment at the right position in my mini Misty stamping tool, prep the front panel with an anti-stack powder bag, and ink it up with the VersaFine Honest Black pigment ink. I then sprinkle on some Hero Arts Ultra Fine Clear Embossing Powder, heat set it. I also white heat embossed the sentiment always and forever on a thin strip of black cardstock, cut the end to the banner shape. And before I assemble the card, I decided to add some shine on my blooms, so I used the clear sparkle Wink of Stella shimmer pen to coat the entire bloom's images. I think it adds a lot of interest in a simple and clean card design. I then trimmed the front panel down to 3 3/4 inches by 5.5 inches to be slightly shorter than the landscape A2 size note card. I then stick on a piece of fun foam, be slightly smaller than the front panel, and stick the whole panel on a landscape A2 size note card that I created with Nina Desert Storm cardstock. I also used some foam tape to stick the Always and Forever sentiment banner on the front panel. And to add even more shine, I decided to use a Ranger Glossy accent to coat all my blooms. It is my favorite combination to use the Wink of Stella shimmer pen and the Ranger Glossy accent together, almost create those sparkling stickers effect. The colors look a little cloudy now because the glossy accent have not dried yet, but you can already see the shimmer and shine it gives. I really like this card and I decided to decorate an envelope to match this card. I choose the larger and smaller heart image from the same stamp set, and I will be using some tumble markers for multicolor stamping today. So I placed the heart right next to each other, plan to do some repeat stamping, and I'm coloring the stamp image with my tumble markers to create a radiant effect. As I close the door on my Misty stamping tool, you can see the color change from purple to blue. And now I'm moving the envelope down to 4 squares on my mat so I can easily close my door again with the ink stamps so I don't have to place my stamps again. I learned this technique from Jennifer McGuire, and usually I like to use my Timhost platform when I'm doing repeat stamping like this, but I can't find mine today. So with the Misty stamping tool, you can just let your stamp panel hang off the edge. It won't affect how well you can stamp. When I'm done stamping all the hearts, I use the same technique to stamp the XOXO word stamp and also the Wish We Live Closer stamp on the front of the envelope. And on the flap of the envelope, I stamped the Sending Love and Hugs sentiment. And here's a look of the finished card in the envelope. I think it's really fun to create an envelope that matches a card to add more handmade feel. I also created a card with the 2 little girls holding a heart together from the same stamp set. I stamped and masked off the 2 girls' images on the front panel and used the My Favorite Thing strips and heel stencil and also Distressed Twisted Citron ink to do some ink blending to create a grass hill. I also added some clouds with the Hero Art Sky stencil pair along with the Distressed Tumble Glass ink. I die cut the second smallest heart from the semi-stamp large holiday shapes and colored it red with Copic markers, and used my mini Misty and VersaFine Honest Black ink to stamp on the sentiment "You Make My Heart Happy." I used a foam square to put the heart on my front panel and draw a string in between the heart and the girl's hand, make it look like they're holding the heart together, and use some foam tape to put the front panel on an A2 size top folding note card. And again, use the Wink of Stella shimmer pen to add some shimmer on the heart, and use the Ranger Glossy accent to add some dimension and shine on the hair pieces on the 2 girls and also the heart. And here's a closer look of the finished effect that I created with Wink of Stella shimmer pen and Ranger Glossy accent. That wraps up this video. Thank you for watching me today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe my channel for more card making tutorials. You can also head over to my blog for more information. Until next time, happy crafting! Bye!